Ghost colleges, scummy agents, 5 Australian universities banning Indian students,
a trend to ban students from certain Indian states,
and ever-changing visa rules. Australia has been quite a controversial topic this year, especially for international students. So it makes sense that for the first time ever on this channel, we tackle an Australian university. So for episode number 9 today, we are going to tackle number 1 ranked in Australia, University of Melbourne. Now before we go any further, I want to point out 2 things. Australia has been in the news earlier this year for a lot of controversial topic regarding changes in their visa structure, work permits, so much to an extent that by the time you're probably watching this video, there may just be another change that has happened. So make sure that you are aware of all of these changes that are going on in the background and keeping yourself up to date. I've tried my best to learn this new education system, which is for me, the Australian education system. So the details might be off a little here and there. So I would appreciate any constructive feedback that you guys have in the comments below with some helpful resources. Coming back to the University of Melbourne, like I said, it's ranked number 1 in Australia, but some other universities include Griffith, Monash, and the University of Queensland, all that follow a similar application process. The University of Melbourne is also ranked number 14 in the world, which isn't bad at all. It's known for its popular majors in finance, biomedicine, and psychology. Now, talking about their international student outreach, we're looking at approximately 41% of international students at the university, which means that they absolutely love diversity. Now, I spent a lot of time understanding how the Australian admission system works, and I'm going to try to break down these complex terms in some easy to understand words. So the first thing we need to know is something known as ATAR, which stands for Australian Tertiary Admission Rank. It is a rank-based system, and for example, let's say you get an ATR of 80. What that means is you are ranked 20% in your age group, which is 16 to 20 years of age. And using this ATAR rank system actually guarantees you an admission in any university in Australia. As crazy as it sounds, basically, for example, let's say that you have an ATAR score of 95. That means that you have a guaranteed admission in the University of Melbourne for biomedicine. As exciting as this whole process sounds, this ATAR system is not for international students. Now, some of the universities, like the University of Melbourne, have stated on their website that there is a process where you can convert, for example, your CBSE grades into the ATAR rank, but this is something that the university itself will do for you. Now, the University of Melbourne is very clear on their website stating what a likely to be admitted student would look like and mentioning what grades international students actually need. I'm not joking. For people who love talking about grades, this is probably going to be your favorite university. Now, on their website, they're clearly mentioned, for example, if you want to do biomedicine and you have a 91% score in your CBSE, this is a likely to be admitted grade. I'll also leave a link below so students from any country can find out what their likely to be admitted grades would look like for them. Now, if you guys are considering Australia, don't forget that it gets super hot during the summers. So the one thing you don't want to forget is your dossier perfume. Now, these perfumes come in travel-friendly sizes. The one that I'm currently using is this jasmine fragrance. They are both great for men as well as women. They come in like this really cool, easy to use kind of bottle you can carry around in your backpack, and you don't want to be stinking up the place in your dorm or classroom, so this comes in super handy. I'm going to leave a link in the description, so check out the dossier perfumes and you guys can also use the code to get a small discount. So now let's talk about the application process. We are looking at 120 Australian dollars for the application fee. And this that you see right over here is one of the most controversial things that I have read. Basically, any student that wants to apply to an Australian university cannot apply by themselves. They have like these registered agents that you have to go through, and those agents would apply for you. These agents are in charge of basically evaluating your transcripts, making you understand what the process would look like, and giving you advice on the entire visa process. I mean, honestly, it is just so offensive. I mean, Australian universities are basically saying that students are not capable of doing all of this on their own, or the universities themselves don't want to go through the headache of evaluating the students' transcripts. In many cases, these registered agents that Australian universities make you go through are even paid. So indirectly, they are forcing you to go through a counselor to even apply to their university because you cannot do this by yourself. So I gave you the information and I want to know from you guys, like, what do you guys think? Are we not smart enough to apply to Australian universities on our own? I mean, honestly, this is such a weird rule to have, and forcing someone to go through like an agent is just something that I have never heard of before. Regardless, let's talk about more ways in which you have to spend your money, which is the tuition fee. So Australia isn't expensive if you look at it compared to like US universities. We're looking at spending about 70 to 90 lakh rupees over the course of a 4-year degree. Now, the reason I say it's not expensive is because a lot of the US-based universities will end up costing you somewhere upwards of 1.5 crore for a 4-year degree. So compared to that, this is pretty affordable. Coming to the deadlines, we are looking at 2 basic intakes. There's one in May and there is another one in November. Now, these intakes don't necessarily have like specific names, but these are just the deadlines that you guys need to be aware of. I know that you guys are probably still recovering from that 70 to 90 lakh rupees that I mentioned. So let's talk about some scholarships. University of Melbourne provides at least 1,000 students with scholarship each year. Now, the structure of this scholarship is a little kind of like weird, but basically you will receive $10,000 Australian dollars in your first year. And then from your second year onwards, for your second, third, and fourth year, you'll receive a scholarship of up to 50% of your tuition fee. Or if your degree is 3 years in total, you can receive a scholarship that covers up to the full tuition fee. So they are very generous in giving this aid, considering that it's given, to 1,000 students each year. There's no separate application required for this particular scholarship because it is pretty much the general scholarship that the university offers. The second type is kind of like an external research-based scholarship where you have to fill out a separate application. This one is given to about 1,500 students and it can range anywhere between $20,000 upwards of $20,000. So it's more of like a grant-based scholarship, but there's a separate application that you have to fill out. Now, going back to the Melbourne International Undergrad Scholarship, because this is their internal scholarship, they've mentioned some pretty clear rules on their website. For example, if you are an Indian student studying in the CBSE, ICSE, or the state board, and you have just an overall score of like 98%, which isn't, all that much according to them, you have a high chance of actually getting this scholarship. I mean, this is just beyond competitive. I got like 81% in my class 12 and I was over the moon. I thought I was a good student. So if you can get this is one way to increase your chances of actually getting this scholarship. It's clearly mentioned on their website. Now, coming to my graduate student applications, the application fee that you're looking at is 120 Australian dollars, and the University of Melbourne has 2 types of degrees that they actually offer grad students. The first one is a Master of Engineering, which is a coursework related degree. The second one is a Master of Philosophy, which is a more research-based degree. Now, some of the requirements include an SOP, English proficiency, again, some basic things that aren't, totally above the moon. Needless to say, you still need that agent. I know I didn't mention this here, but you need that guy or girl in your life in order to apply. The tuition fee that graduate students are looking at is anywhere between 160 to 210 Australian dollars for 2 years. Now, looking at the scholarships that the university provides, we are looking at the Melbourne Research Scholarship. This is available to grad students that are in the research degree or PhD students. And they also give you a living allowance of $37,000 per year. So the amount of funding is pretty good and it's given to about 350 students. So there's a good chance that, this can cover a lot of the cost of attendance at the University of Melbourne. Alright guys, so that's all that I had for this video. And let me know what you guys thought about the Australian system and the University of Melbourne in general. This is the first time we tackled an Australian one. And honestly, I am not too happy with this entire process of applying to universities. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And if there are any other countries that you want me to cover, we can, take a look at different ones too. Like the video if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next week in another video. Take care. Bye.